comments. Jeffrey, what do we have top on the list this morning?
Well, congratulations to the governors that had their elections validated,
Right.
but I'm sure that all of that will head to the Court of Appeal and then end up in the Supreme Court. We understand the long haul, but of course, there have been talking points around all of this, which is why it's a very good day for us as far as the show is concerned, because we're going to be looking at what the judiciary has done in the last 1 year. They've been praising some and received a lot of flags in the others. So we're going to look at all of those elements, but let's find out what the people are saying. Again, the courts, barring Ado Bayero, the emir that was removed due to the change in the laws, from parading himself as the emir, orders him to vacate the palace because it's in the Nasarawa Palace, which is
they call it the mini palace.
The mini palace, Nasarawa Palace. So, Omaya teacher says, in Nigeria, a governor has the power to dethrone or install Obas Igwe, I guess, Obi, Emir, etc. To make matters worse, an ordinary local government chairman under the constitution is more powerful than all these monarchs. These are the main reasons these monarchs have refused to tell the truth about power. Because if they do, they might be dethroned or subjected to ridicule by the politicians.
This next user, Ozongo Dogo, Jeffrey, is taking a look at the legal aspect, which is, of course, at the heart of this. And he says this is quite messy. That's how this user captures this. Says, now, he believes this is bad for the former emir because the enabling law that made him emir was repealed and a new law enacted. Currently standing on nothing. Does the House have the power as to what they did? This user says, yes. All caps, by the way.
Oh, boy. Okay, this is from Lulu. Says, the courts of coordinate jurisdiction cannot overrule each other. If you're unhappy with anything being done, you appeal to the next level. You cannot have a court of coordinate jurisdiction giving directions over its equal. The order of the Federal High Court stands. So the argument is, because it's a state affair, it was not supposed to go to the Federal High Court. It was supposed to be a state high court and all of that. But the government had actually said, I think the emir, the new emir, Emir Sanusi, the second, had also said at some point they've not seen the court order. Say, it's here and there. This is not the first time we're seeing this. I have seen a case where court of coordinate jurisdiction, one upstairs in Abuja, and then one downstairs, the same case giving orders that are conflicting in Abuja.
Same location.
One upstairs, the other one downstairs. They were giving
and these are the issues that will definitely be raising today as we take a look at the
I
big
don't know what's going on.
one.
We have to fix this.
Absolutely. The next user, Don Panacio, that's the name on X, says that any court order at this point is meaningless and unnecessary. Well, I hope you're not trying to water down the judiciary. But let's take a look at what this user goes on to say. Because there's already an existing court order, so that puts his statement in proper context, and it's pending determination. So Kano State government wants Emir Bayero to obey court order that they themselves cannot obey, but this also goes back to the repealing of a law, which was made by a... Come on.
So the argument lawyers have made, I've listened to them say, no matter, in the argument is, no matter how ludicrous
the law is,
an order is, set it aside.
Right.
That is the argument. All right, Dan Batas says this new court order is not only invalid, but also direct conflict with the initial Federal High Court, I guess, order that halted Aminu's dethronement. This legal mess raises even more concerns about the governor's respect for the judicial system. That's a good place to talk about these things more and more.
Absolutely.
And we'll continue to, the lawyers will be here to explain all of this to us.
Indeed. But let's turn our attention to another matter that concerns the rule of law. It's at the heart of it, really, and it's about Banex Plaza in the nation's capital. Quite popular. If you've gone to Abuja and you had to do something with your device or mobile phone, you definitely know Banex Plaza. And for some days now, over a week, I believe, it's been closed. But we understand now that the army has announced immediate reopening of Banex Plaza. And the first response we're taking is from Jave Obiz. Says, now, while the reopening may offer a semblance of normalcy, the bitter aftertaste of such a brazen display of force lingers, casting a pall over the once vibrant hub and leaving an indelible stain on the fabric of trust between the protectors and the protected.
All right, this is Forward Nigeria. What law gives the army the right to close a marketplace? Should an investigation be handed over to the police and the culprits charged to court and jailed ones found guilty? Instead, you've made thousands of people not have income due to the action of a few. How will the army compensate them? Imagine a trader accounting on sales made in a week so as to pay bank loans. So this argument has always been, what are we operating? Are we operating a democracy, or we're operating a shared power between military and civilians called diarchy? Well, let's be clear, because certain things we've seen the army do, servicemen, great servicemen, we must honor them for their services, but we're not supposed to be seeing them as regular as we see them in the true sense of the word. But this is why the questions are being called. Actions like this are supposed to be handled by the police and all of that. So it's neither here nor there.
And I know that there's more. The store involved has been
closed. Yes,
exactly.
It's told them to close down.
So while Banex is being reopened, the store is closed, and they say that the people involved that own the store should be arrested, which should have been the case in the first place. But take a look at this next one from Bankai_X. Says, also, I urge the Nigerian army to also sensitize their personnel on how to resolve issues with civilians. The uniform is not an authority to brutalize anyone at any slight provocation or misunderstanding. Nigeria is our home. The least we can get is feeling protected and not scared. I mean, you go to other climes and when military people approach,
you want to snap with them.
Or you even vacate your seat and offer to them. And it's not because of the force. It's not because of the power.
You're just grateful for their service.
Grateful for the service. So
I remember when I was in school, a guy would say, to avoid do you know me, in Nigeria there's a lot of do you know me's around going on. Civil altercation with, let's not go there. Rescued by MNK, I expected the military to apologize for their overzealousness in closing the entire plaza for the small fracas. New question is, will you close a military barrack if there was a fracas there? Kaido, you have the next one.
Yes, and the comments are quite a lot, and it just shows how this is a very important conversation. It touches at the heart of our very existence as Nigerians, really. But let's move on to this next one, and it's about the Nigeria Air Project, essentially. Nigeria Air Project, remember it? Remember that, right? Well, we understand that it's still suspended.
Air Nigeria.
Air Nigeria, right? It's still suspended indefinitely. And this first one is from iShow_Lek. It says that after suspending it, what happens to the billions of naira that was used for it? The ceremonial expenses, and remember the flight that was brought in and it was painted Air Nigeria, and a lot of people thought, oh yes, it's going to happen. In fact, there are buildings that have the insignia Air Nigeria at the airport. So what's going to happen to all of that? That's the question this user is asking.
Okay, as you know, the former Minister of Aviation is under trial, but I don't think it has anything to do with Air Nigeria yet. It has to do with other issues that are contract issues. Afribull says, Nigeria, allegedly we must say, all the accusations are alleged. Afribull said Nigeria has now made 6 attempts to establish a national airline. Nigeria Airways, he quoted the date. Virgin Nigeria quoted the date. Nigerian Eagle Airlines quoted the date. Air Nigeria. Nigerian Air. Nigerian Air. Oh boy. Okay. I like the keeping of record, by the way.
Absolutely. Narrowscope is next, and says this cannot even prelude the urgent demand of economic reform at this time anyway. So in our order of priority, this user doesn't think it ranks top anyway. Says that it's pivotal to focus on solving hardship in the country before engaging in any, in the words of this user, subordinate projects. That's how he or she puts it.
All right, we can now move on to the other subject where the Minister of Agriculture, Mr. Carrier, said that the federal government has injected about 309 billion naira in the last 1 year. You know, the ministers have been giving more like an account of their stewardship in the last 1 year, ministry by ministry, because the federal government says this year's inauguration anniversary, which is 2 days from tomorrow, by the way, is going to be low-key. So as part of a build-up to that day, will just be them, talking about what they've done. So this is where that revelation came from. Ikade says, how do we check all these bogus claims by these ministers? What checks and balances method did President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the federal government, put in place to verify the claims? Nigerians are keen to, are being taken for a wild ride. So sad, according to you.
And just one more on this particular one says, how about insecurity in Nigeria that has made it impossible for the farmers to go to their farms all over the country? Well, in parts of a country, to put that in proper context. If you like putting 900 billion naira without giving the farmers security or securing the farmlands, you have done nothing. But it's important to state that those areas where farmers cannot go to their farms are vital to food security in the country, and There are lots and lots of them. You can talk about Plateau, Benue, Kaduna, and the list goes on and on. These areas are vital to our food security as a nation.
Absolutely. So we understand the Senate has begun the public hearing on a change of the national anthem. Well, a lot of people, let's say a lot of people, some people see this as just a distraction, unnecessary conversation. All others say it's an important conversation. We don't know where you stand, so let's find out what you're saying on X. Maduka says, changing the national anthem may be a symbolic gesture, but it doesn't address the underlying issues and challenges in the nation. The nation faces. True progress and solutions come from tackling the root causes of problems such as economic inequality, political instability, and social injustice.
Okay, I'll just take this one from Comrade_Lucky1. So, change of national anthem has become top priority out of all the issues and challenges facing the country. The teacher says, misplaced priority.
Steve Loving says the present national anthem is okay. The Senate should use the time to look into Nigerian challenges. Changing the national anthem is not our problem presently. So people have argued that we have a sentimental attachment to the Arise or Come that we use because it was written by a Nigerian. Nigeria We Hailed You was not written by a Nigerian. What is wrong with it? Some are saying the one we use is too military in tone. Others are saying they don't. Oh boy.
It's a big debate. Let us know what you think about that.
That's why there's a public hearing. So if you don't want it, if you think it's not a necessary conversation, go there and knock it off. And we hope you have the numbers to knock it off. All right?
There you have it. Those are the major talking points right now. But we'll start off with one that has been a major thread. Rule of law in the country. But we're focusing on this administration's one-year performance so far when it comes to the judiciary and the attendant rule of law. So that's our starter this morning. Join us as we dive deeper with our panel in a moment. Stay with us.